Just over a month ago, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie came out, and it was awesome. The Springlock failure scene, beautiful. Josh Hutcherson's portrayal of Mike, yummy. No one in my theater understanding any of the lore and leaving absolutely livid? Well... There you are! I'm Amy. Welcome to Deduce, Reuse, Recycle, where today we'll be taking a minute to sit back and look at the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now, according to Rotten Tomatoes, it was definitely one of those movies where if you were already in the fan base, you had a great time. If you weren't, though, you spent a lot of time thinking you knew what the movie was trying to accomplish and criticizing its failure at being scary or trying to entertain the fan base, which you weren't even part of. I was sitting there in my merch, Freddy plush in hand, watching the movie I had waited years to see, and when the credits started rolling, all of the middle schoolers in pajama pants surrounding me stood up and started saying things like, that was a waste of time, and that was nothing like the games, and that wasn't a horror movie. I was so confused, not because of the movie, but because of the audience's reactions. They claimed to be fans, but they were acting more like those Rotten Tomato critics. If you understood what was going on, there was a good chance you came out of that movie having enjoyed it. So my bet is that everyone surrounding me didn't really know what was going on, and they didn't know as much as they needed to about the lore, despite them claiming to be such big fans. Random middle schoolers I'll probably never see again? This one's for you. Today we're going over the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, explaining where it came from, and analyzing why the FNAF movie is truly horrific. But first, there's something weird under this video. I think it might be a subscribe button, I don't know. I don't really think it's that scary, but if you hit it really fast, you might be able to prove me wrong. Have you done it yet? Awesome! Let's deduce. Now, when I say we're covering the FNAF lore, I mean that we are recapping a very small chunk of it. We're going to look at what game and book lore were included in the movie, and then single out what new elements the film brought to the table. I am not going to be explaining what makes this lore accurate. If you want that, I would highly recommend checking out Game Theory's nearly 70 videos explaining it all, and I'm also not going to be adding anything to the lore yet. Ready? Let's go. William Afton is the big baddie of everything he's ever touched. Movie, games, books, perfect trifecta. His first murder is low-key meticulously planned. In the games, it's a hit and run. In the books, it's a kidnapping, followed by a murder, just like with Garrett in the movie. He somehow has control over the animatronics and has a fairly good understanding of how this whole haunting thing works, which comes straight out of the books. Same with how Abby gets all of the animatronics to turn on him by making a drawing of the Spring Bonnie suit, killing them all. Abby also almost gets put into a Springlock suit of Ella, which is a doll from the books. There are Easter eggs to everything, from It's Me, which originated in FNAF 1, to Dream Theory, which came down strong around the time of FNAF 4. Our protagonist, Mike Schmidt, FNAF 1. Vanessa, Security Breach. And if we're including Abby as an anagram of baby in this, then that ties in Sister Location too. Dead kids haunt the animatronics no matter where you turn, and apart from some other stuff that I'm almost definitely forgetting, everything else is pretty much new material. But from the timeline to whether or not William Afton's business partner Henry Emily is present, there isn't too much that strays from the source material, it's just contextualized differently. This context is key to understanding why the movie is successful in its exposition and catered to fans. Now, if understanding the game and book lore doesn't send chills down your spine, which it should if you know what's up, then the true horror that is this movie is going to be found in analyzing Scott Cawthon's storytelling style and how he contextualizes the lore. Since the beginning of the game franchise, the lore has been extremely conceptual in nature. While the main gameplay focuses on just not getting jump scared, actual storytelling elements are found in the environment in places that often aren't immediately obvious. From FNAF 2 to Pizzeria Simulator, the bulk of the story is told through minigames like Happiest Day in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or the intermissions between nights in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Now, none of these minigames are inherently scary. Taking cake to children, driving... Oh, hello, baby. Hello, my corgi is here. Hi. This is Winston. He's very happy to be here. Very heavy, though. It's only when you look deeper and find the concepts connected to each minigame that the true horror is revealed. In a way, Scott's scare factor is beautifully subtle. One of the best examples of this is the pizza party game in FNAF Help Wanted. You're given an objective, navigate the area and make it to the end without getting jump scared. but it's only when you reach the end and finish the main gameplay that you realize that you just reenacted a 7-year-old child getting lured to a back room and getting stuffed into a Freddy suit. It's subtle. You weren't looking for it because you're focused on just trying to figure out where the heck you're supposed to go, yet it is one of the most gut-wrenching moments of the entire franchise. This storytelling strategy is exactly what is used in the FNAF movie. There are a few jump scares and frightening moments here and there, but the most horrifying scenes are arguably the ones where there is no obvious scare factor, the scenes that most of my theater wasn't paying attention to. The most prominent example of this is the fort building montage. After the movie came out, there was immediate backlash against this scene because it supposedly took away from the scary vibes by giving the animatronics personalities and having them act like children instead of flat-out bloodthirsty robots. I hate to break it to you guys, but this is a story about ghost children. Just thought you should know. The reason why this scene works so well is for the exact reasons people are dissing on. It sets up the premise that these are real, innocent children who are trapped and being forced to kill when all they want is a playmate. Combine that with the 8-bit minigame intro and you've got yourself one pretty horrific story. Another thing that's noteworthy here is that Scott had to approach the film differently than how he would typically approach his games. Now, this doesn't mean that he changed how he tells the story, it just means that he balances his storytelling elements differently. Instead of focusing on gameplay with storytelling elements more in the background, like in the games, the movie required him to focus more on those storytelling elements with less emphasis on game mechanics. It's the same way with the books. Scott added to his story through a written medium, but it wasn't a transcript on how to beat 50-20 mode in Ultimate Custom Night, although that would be awesome. So no, while we did not get Josh Hutcherson sitting in the same spot for 6 hours checking security cameras, Scott Cawthon still gave us something absolutely terrifying. And for any of you claiming that the books are different from the movie because the books are actually scary, no, they're not. You can't get jump scared by a book. Oh wait, that was your complaint about the movie. Still not convinced? I didn't want to do this, but I guess we're using dictionaries now. According to Merriam-Webster, scary is defined as causing fright or being alarming. Horror, on the other hand, is defined as painful and intense fear, dread, or dismay. I don't know about you, but watching children getting kidnapped, murdered, and manipulated is pretty dreadful to me. Based on my theater's reaction, I have a feeling that most of them came into it expecting it to be a scary movie when it is in fact a horror film. Now, scary falls underneath the umbrella of horror for sure, but they are not one and the same. So sorry once again that you didn't get as many jump scares as you wanted, but I don't think Scott Cawthon is changing his storytelling style anytime soon just because you didn't check the movie genre. There you have it! Now you are a certified expert on the storytelling of Scott Cawthon. Whether or not you liked the FNAF movie, I hope that this gave a bit more context as to what was going on, why you should be afraid, and where to be looking when the sequel eventually comes out. And honestly, I believe that the most important thing about all of this is that this is Scott's story. He's been working on it since 2014, and no, he didn't know where this was all going to go at the beginning, but he knows where he wants to take the franchise. The movie was executed the way he wanted it to be, and I think we all know that there's rarely ever such a thing as coincidence in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, which is why it's safe to say that everything about the movie, down to its lack of jump scares, was intentional. You may still not be satisfied, but honestly, if you want to go get scared, just go play FNAF 4. If we want the lore, Scott's got it, but we'll have to do it his way. Thanks for analyzing with me, guys! If you want even more analysis, make sure to check out my video on Disney's Wish so you don't miss out on the Disney company's huge message they just sent. And make sure to check out the channel trailer that just dropped if you want a sneak peek for what's to come. In the meantime, stay toasty!